War Years, Isolation and Independence, 1945 to 1960. World War II rages across the globe, but in Hart's remote canyon, the conflict might as well be happening on another planet. While millions of Americans serve overseas and the home front mobilizes for total war, Buckskin Bill continues his solitary existence, completely isolated from the greatest crisis of the 20th century. The war years test Hart's commitment to his chosen lifestyle in ways he never anticipated. Rationing affects even remote areas as government agents search for draft evaders and monitor suspicious activities. Hart's complete isolation makes him a person of interest to authorities who can't understand why any American would choose to live so far from civilization during a national emergency. But Hart's isolation also protects him from the social pressures and economic disruptions that affect most Americans during the war years. While city dwellers deal with rationing, blackouts, and constant worry about loved ones overseas, Hart continues his daily routine of hunting, fishing, and maintaining his wilderness homestead. The war years force Hart to become even more self-sufficient than before. Manufactured goods become scarce and expensive, but Hart has already learned to make everything he needs from natural materials. His isolation, which might seem like a disadvantage, actually insulates him from the shortages and disruptions that affect the rest of America. Hart's tool-making skills reach their peak during this period. Unable to replace worn-out tools easily, he learns to forge his own cutting implements, repair complex mechanisms, and create specialized tools for specific wilderness tasks. His workshop becomes a complete manufacturing facility that can produce anything he needs for wilderness living. The blacksmithing skills Hart develops during the war years demonstrate his commitment to complete self-sufficiency. Using a forge he constructs from local stone and scrap metal, Hart learns to work iron and steel with the skill of a professional blacksmith. He makes his own knives, axe, and other cutting tools that perform better than most commercial equivalents. But Hart's real achievement during the war years is the development of a sustainable economic system that allows him to acquire the few manufactured goods he can't make himself. He develops a network of contacts in nearby towns who will trade essential supplies for the furs, hides, and other wilderness products that Hart can provide. This trading system allows Hart to maintain his isolation while still having access to ammunition, salt, and other manufactured necessities that even the most skilled mountain man can't produce in the wilderness. But the trading is done on Hart's terms. He comes to town only when necessary, conducts his business quickly, and returns to his wilderness home as soon as possible. The post-war years bring new challenges as America enters the prosperity of the 1950s. The country that Hart rejected in 1932 has become even more modern, more urban, and more dependent on technology. The gap between Hart's lifestyle and mainstream American life continues to widen. But Hart shows no interest in rejoining the modern world. Instead, Hart uses the post-war years to refine and perfect the wilderness lifestyle he has created. His cabin undergoes continuous improvements as Hart adds new features and capabilities that make wilderness living more comfortable and efficient. He builds additional outbuildings for specific purposes: a smokehouse for food preservation, a workshop for tool making, storage buildings for supplies and equipment. Hart's garden development during this period demonstrates his understanding of wilderness agriculture. In the short growing season and challenging soil conditions of his remote location, Hart learns to grow vegetables and herbs that can supplement his diet of wild game and fish. His gardening techniques are adapted specifically for wilderness conditions and require no outside inputs except for seeds. The root cellar Hart constructs during the 1950s shows his mastery of food storage techniques that don't require refrigeration or other modern conveniences. The cellar maintains consistent temperatures year-round and allows Hart to store vegetables, preserved meats, and other foods for months without spoilage. But perhaps Hart's greatest achievement during this period is the development of a complete medical and veterinary capability that allows him to treat injuries and illnesses without access to modern medical care. Hart learns to use medicinal plants, set broken bones, treat wounds, and handle the medical emergencies that are inevitable in wilderness living. Hart's medical knowledge combines traditional folk remedies with practical first aid techniques that he adapts for solo wilderness living. He can't depend on outside help for medical emergencies, so he develops the skills and knowledge necessary to handle any medical situation that might arise. By 1960, Hart has created a lifestyle that is completely independent of the modern world, while still maintaining a standard of living that many Americans would envy. His wilderness home has all the amenities necessary for comfortable living. His food security is better than most Americans, and his self-sufficiency is complete in every meaningful way.